There's a particular kind of exhaustion most men don't talk about. And it doesn't show up in your blood work, doesn't show up in your performance reviews, but it shows up in your patience, in your tone, in your sleep. And it's not physical. It's not even emotional in the way people describe burnout. It's the exhaustion that comes from carrying things that were never yours to carry. And the problem is, when you've been doing it for long enough, it doesn't feel optional anymore. It feels like leadership. But let me tell you, it's not. What you're doing is called overcaring. And let me tell you, overcaring has a cost. If you're between the ages of 30 and 50, give or take, you're likely in peak responsibility years. Things like your career, your marriage, kids, your parents are aging, there's financial pressure, health awareness is starting to creep in if it's not already there. You have legacy questions starting to whisper. You've built capacity. You've trained yourself how to endure. You've learned how to push. And because of that, you assume things like, if something needs to be handled, it's probably on me. Here's the neurological problem with that belief. Your brain is wired to detect uncertainty as something that needs resolution. When there's tension in your marriage, instability at work, a child is struggling, someone's disappointed, your nervous system treats that as an open loop, and open loops consume cognitive bandwidth. Unresolved responsibility drains working memory and reduces decision quality. The brain doesn't like incomplete signals. So what do? You close loops. You fix, you manage, you anticipate, you carry, even when the loop wasn't yours to close. Overcaring often disguises itself as a virtue. You're telling yourself things like, I'm just trying to make sure everything's okay. I don't want anyone else stressed. If I don't handle it, it won't get handled right. And that feels noble. But here's what's happening beneath the surface. You're absorbing emotional weight that doesn't belong to you. Your wife's mood, your boss's anxiety, your child's frustration, your team's uncertainty. Instead of allowing grown adults to metabolize their own emotions and consequences, you internalize them. And unless you've trained differentiation, your nervous system doesn't distinguish between this is mine and this is someone else's. Cortisol rises either way. Heart rate shifts either way. Sleep gets lighter either way. Your body pays the price either way. So let's talk about the cost. Not dramatic collapse, not catastrophe, but subtle erosion. Let's start off with decision narrowing. When you carry too much, your brain shifts into protective mode. You don't become reckless. You actually become conservative. You choose safe things. You default to familiar things. You avoid necessary confrontation. Stress reduces access to the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for creativity, nuance, and long-term planning. You don't lose intelligence. You lose range, and leadership requires range. Let's move on to emotional numbness. When everything feels urgent, nothing feels meaningful. You start moving through your life slightly detached, still present, still functioning, still productive, but thinner. And your wife feels it, your kids feel it, you feel it. You're there physically, but you're not fully there. That's not burnout, that's bandwidth depletion. And let's move on to this third one, quiet resentment. And this is the part most men won't admit. When you carry what isn't yours long enough, you start resenting the people you're carrying it for. Maybe not consciously, but subtly. You feel unappreciated, unseen, alone in responsibility. And because you've positioned yourself as the strong one, there's nowhere for that resentment to go. So where does it go? It turns inward or sideways, snapping at small things, withdrawing, becoming short, not because you're weak, but because you're overloaded with weight that was never assigned to you. So let's make this practical. Let's say it's 10:30 at night. Your wife is quiet and you assume it's about you. So what happens? You start replaying the day in your head. What did I miss? Did I say something wrong? What do I need to fix tomorrow? You adjust your tone in advance. You mentally prepare a conversation, and you carry that tension that was never handed to you. And all along, she was just tired. Simple. But you know what you're doing? Overcaring. And here's the distinction most men never get taught. Leadership is not absorbing everything. Leadership is stewarding what is yours. There's a difference. True leadership requires clarity. Overcaring requires anxiety. One is grounded, the other is reactive. You were never assigned everyone's emotions, everyone's outcomes, everyone's reactions, everyone's growth. Each person carries their own responsibility. Each person answers for their own stewardship. Each person grows through their own tension. When you interrupt that process by absorbing it for them, you don't increase strength, you actually delay it in them and in you. Most high-functioning men overcarry for 3 reasons. 1, control. Sound familiar? 2, identity. And 3, fear of disappointment. See, control says, if I can carry it, I can influence it. Identity says, if I don't stabilize this, who am I? And fear says, I'd rather carry it than risk disappointing someone. But control masquerading as responsibility creates fragility, and chronic overextension erodes presence. Presence, not performance, is what people actually need from you. So here's the real question. What is actually yours? Before you fix, before you step in, before you absorb, let's ask this question. Is this mine? Is this my responsibility? My decision? My growth? My consequence? Or is this discomfort that belongs to someone else? And there's a difference between supporting someone and replacing their responsibility. The first builds strength, and the second builds dependency. Emotional differentiation is the ability to stay connected without absorbing. Men who lack differentiation fuse. Men who develop it lead. Differentiation requires internal clarity, and clarity requires filtering. And let's be very clear. Filtering is not detachment. It's discernment. It's the discipline of separating what is mine to carry from what I'm just uncomfortable watching. You can care without caring. You can support without absorbing. You can lead without overextending, but only if you learn how to filter. And filtering, that requires courage. Because once you stop caring what isn't yours, man, you feel exposed. You'll feel the urge to step back in, to fix, to smooth things out, to rescue. But leadership isn't rescuing. It's alignment under pressure, keeping the main thing the main thing. So here's the invitation. Not to drop everything, not to become passive, but to become precise. Carry what is actually yours, your character, your decisions, your words, your effort, your growth, your stewardship, and allow other grown adults to carry theirs, even when it's uncomfortable. Because the hidden cost of carrying what isn't yours is losing yourself in the process. The men who lead best are not the men who carry the most. They are the men who see clearly and steward wisely. In the next video, we're going deeper. Because before you can filter what's yours, you have to recognize where the weight is already sitting. Most men don't notice it in their thoughts. They notice it in their body. Tight shoulders, short breath, clenched jaws, constant tension. But your body is carrying that your mind hasn't admitted to yet. That's where filtering actually begins, because clarity is not a personality trait. It's a trained skill. And once you stop overcaring, you realize something extremely powerful. You were never tired from responsibility. You were tired from misdirected strength. And strength, when aimed correctly, becomes steadiness, not strain. So, if this hits closer than you expected, that's not weakness. You're just really, really aware. And that awareness is where leadership actually begins. If you want help learning how to filter what's yours from what isn't, there's a link below for a free 30-minute clarity call. It's no pressure. It's just precision. Because strong men don't need more weight. They need better alignment. See you in the next one.